Welcome to The Code. Construction, design and engineering. This is India's #1 construction podcast.
So you built a 100 crore ARR business in under a year. What's the one brutal truth that no one talks about scaling so fast? What's your take on that?
So I think a large part of how we were able to do what we did really depends on the team. And I think the emphasis on team is usually overlooked quite often. So the team I'm currently working with, I've worked with them for the last 3-4 years on my previous startup. So, when you're building a startup, you get a lot closer to your team, especially your senior team.
Yeah.
And that level of trust, that level of, being able to work together, I think that's really what fast tracks your growth. So yeah, I think definitely team is something that has really helped us.
Interesting. From squash courts to boardrooms,
Yep.
right? What's harder? Winning national tournaments or running a design and build company?
I think the underlying premise is the same. You have to sort of work hard. Like even when you're sort of playing a tournament, the tournament is just the end of what you're doing. The training that goes behind it, sort of every day getting to the court, doing the same drills. And I think design build is similar. I mean, initially when we started, we didn't have a single sale for the first 45 days. We were just doing constant pitches and then something clicks, it happens, it works. And then you sort of build on that success. So I think a lot of it is sort of perseverance, your dedication to what you're doing, and of course, enjoying what you're doing, because without that level of commitment and dedication doesn't come.
Yeah. Interesting. In one word, describe the construction industry in India today.
Unorganized.
Why?
So I think there are lots of different parts that go together to build a project from, like different vendors, different contractors, different consultants. So I think for a client who's not from the space, it's a lot. It's overbearing. I mean, even for an individual from the space, sometimes it becomes overbearing. Like we recently did our house. Both my parents are architects. I'm in the design build space. And it was still not a very enjoyable exercise. It was still problematic. There were redos. So I think anyone who's dealt headfirst with the construction space would at least feel very overwhelmed at some point or the other.
Both your parents are architects?
Both my parents are architects.
Pretty big ones and pretty famous ones within the country as well. But you're not an architect.
I'm not an architect.
Why do this, man?
So I like solving problems and challenges where I see opportunity in businesses. So like my previous venture, my previous startup was in real estate, but a very different aspect of real estate, the financing, investing side of real estate. So again, that's nothing aligned to what I studied. My background is in computer science, but I felt like there was a problem statement there. I could see how we could resolve it, and that's how we built out the company. So similarly, in this case, we did a lot of background work. In fact, between my last company and this, I spent 8 to 10 months looking at various different businesses or models, and finally we sort of narrowed down on this because this is where we felt we could get exponential growth very quickly.
Okay. You're talking about Myre Capital.
So I'm talking about both. So Myre Capital, when I jumped into that, I actually had no idea what I was getting into. I was only 25 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what it took to build a company, why HR was important, why anything was important for that matter. We just started with a vision. And I think sometimes now I feel it's better to not know anything. You tend to take a lot more sort of educated risks. So when you know too much, sometimes you become a little bit more cautious.
Always.
Always.
Not sometimes.
So
this is exactly something I was speaking to about yesterday.
Yeah.
They're a class 1 contractor, do a lot of good civil work.
Yeah.
They build colleges, schools, whatnot. His son has joined the business and he's like, you know what? I think you and him need to talk. I'm like, why not you? You've got more experience. That's the problem with me.
Yeah.
I know too much.
Yeah.
That's why I don't end up doing anything.
Yeah.
And I just realized that, this is crazy. Aap believe nahi karoge. So there was this flight I was taking 3 months back to Mumbai. And there is a transit, right? Where Indigo transfers you from that bus to that plane, right? And there are these 2 experienced gentlemen. Let's call them experienced because 50 plus clearly. Talking to each other in a very, very gusto and like enthused sort of a voice at for 6 a.m. in the morning. And they're like, यार एक बात बताऊँ मैं तुझे, अगर तू चाहे तू होटल नहीं खड़ा कर सकता कल, मैं हॉस्पिटल्स नहीं बना सकता, रिसोर्स की क्या कमी है हमारे पास, But हमें ना पता है कि challenges क्या है इस काम में.
हाँ.
And later on, I realized it's not that there are challenges. It's that they know that there are challenges.
Haan.
And now they're not willing to do it. And age has nothing to do with the passion that the voices had.
Yeah.
So it was just clear that when you know too much, थोड़ा सा शायद ही become
Yeah, in
reluctant.
fact, one analogy that I always tell people is that, starting a company without ever doing it before is like just jumping into the deep end of a swimming pool and you have no option but to swim.
Yeah.
So, by the time you're done with the journey, you've reached somewhere. Hopefully, otherwise you've drowned and it's sort of over for you.
Do you think it's a risk worth taking?
Definitely. I think let's assume like I got to exit, maybe 1% or 2% startups get an exit. But I think more important than the exit is the learning curve. Like, after my last business, I was confident that I can take up a business in any sector of my choice, irrespective if I have that background knowledge or not, and I can execute. So I think that confidence, that experience, that learning curve, I think that is far more valuable than actually the exit itself.
Do you think success breeds success?
So now maybe I would say yes. But, when I sold my first company and I was starting my second one, I had doubts, was this like a one-off? Did I get lucky?
Okay.
Because it's again, when you start a second company and you've come off a high, you have to start from the ground up again. It's not as though you're going to start from the high again.
Fair.
So, making that adjustment takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of introspection. But yeah, I guess again, we dove head first and it sort of worked out the second time as well.
How many years has it been you running Morpho Dimensions?
It's been under a year.
Under a year?
Under a year.
What's the plan with Morpho Dimensions? Where do you look at it in the next 5 years?
So we want to become a full stack construction company, but we want to prioritize two things. The first is we want to be a global firm. So a lot of construction companies are focused on certain domains. And the second is we want to invest heavily into technology. And I think both go hand in hand. You can't scale across geographies unless you have tech supporting it. And I think the way construction has been done in India, it's been a little bit more insulated, relatively more insulated from technology than other sectors. And of course, there are exceptions. There are good firms that have adopted technology, but on a larger scale, construction as a sector has been a little bit more insulated. If you see the way construction was done 30 years ago to the way that being done today, it's not very different. Whereas if you benchmark it to China, in COVID, they were putting up full hospitals in 2 months, which is, it's obnoxious for a lack of a better
unprecedented
word.
Too.
Unprecedented, right? Like setting up a whole infra for a hospital in 2 months. So I think India has a long way that we can go. I think with the adoption of technology, there's a lot that can be done, especially a growing economy like India.
You see a lot of opportunity in the country?
I see, but more importantly, experience. Today, our order books are full to the extent that we're turning down projects. And now we are, really handpicking. This is okay, this is not.
Interesting.
Initially, when we started anything that came to our table, we took it. And now we are turning down more than 60, 70% of projects otherwise we would have taken before.
When you say technology, I think it's something that's like a moving giant also, right?
Yes.
And when you're facing a giant and initially when you're starting out, you're not that big. So what happens is that there's a challenge. There's like a drift within the mindset also that, okay, should I go with VR? Do you think AR is the next thing? Should I go with BIM? Or do you think AR and BIM will do it together? How do you select the technology? What are you betting on right now?
So currently you bet on unit economics. Whatever tech helps me reduce my cost or improve my revenue, that is the tech we adopt day one. There are a lot of other tech that can help you, but might not have a direct impact on your bottom line or top line. So we prioritize this tech, which has direct impact, and then we continue to incrementally invest in the tech, which will have an impact 5 years down the line.
Interesting. Did you ever feel like too young to be leading a multi-crore project and teams that are twice your age, maybe more, right?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that skepticism or I don't know?
So I think in my previous startup in my day, that skepticism was far higher. Okay. We were walking into developer offices and telling them we're going to buy a 100 crore asset by listing it online and getting fractional investors. So, convincing a developer who's sort of more accustomed to traditional investors or large fund houses that me as a 25-year-old, I'm going to get you 100 crores in 45 days. I think that was the maximum amount of age skepticism that I've ever received in my life. And I think after that, I realized something, that performance beats everything. So, once we did this in my last startup, after that, developers were inviting us. Kina, come, let's understand this model. How can we collaborate with you? So I think as long as you have a strong value proposition for all stakeholders in whatever sector you're operating in, as well as you can demonstrate performance and track record, I think then age is just a number.
Once you deliver,
then it's all the same.
Yeah.
But until you deliver, yes.
Everybody's waiting on the edge lines, just looking in.
Yeah.
I know you went to UPenn.
Yep.
Undergrad, masters, and then you came back and joined the chaotic world of real estate in India.
Yes.
Was it a bit of a cultural shock?
It was so again, I had nothing to benchmark against, right? This was one, in all practical purposes, apart from your starting analyst job, this was my real first proper job.
Okay.
As a CEO, of course, as a founder. But I had nothing to benchmark against. So I can't tell you that, US systems are so much better, because I've never operated in that system in entirety, right? I was just part of a huge team working on a presentation for some client. So over here, I think this is the first time I got my hands-on experience, and not knowing anything really, I think, helped me, get on with the company, get things going.
Okay.
But yeah, now I feel like maybe if I knew this much at that point in time, I probably would not have started. I probably would have stayed in the US. But the privilege of not knowing anything allowed me to get ahead first and take on those risks.
Are you the hustle culture mindset, or do you think real productivity can happen whichever way?
So I think you need 75% planning and 25% hustle, because without planning, hustle is useless. You'll be running around like a headless chicken.
Okay.
But with the planning supported with hustle, I think that's really what it takes to cut it, at least in the startup space in India.
Interesting. Tell me about the 90-day fit-out model that you guys have at Morpho Dimensions.
So this was actually more of adapting to clients. In India, when a client takes an office space, he has only 90 days, right? Rent-free fit-out period. And when he's vacating his previous office, again, he only has 90 days of notice period.
Oh, yeah.
So if you don't deliver 90 days, you're inconveniencing the client. And as a new firm where we're trying to disrupt status quo, the most important thing is keeping the client happy. And not only in this business, in any business, right? If your client is happy, your business is successful.
Yeah.
So we actually worked backwards. We said if the client wants it in 90 days, we are doing it in 90 days, irrespective. So traditionally, maybe 150, 180 days would have been the timeline, but we squeezed things down. We ran things in parallel. We re-looked at the entire process. And I think not being from the industry also helped me again, because I could look at things and say, why are we even doing this? Client is not asking for it. It's not benefiting us. Just drop this part of the process.
Okay.
Which, when my architecture team looks at it, they think it's absolutely absurd. How can you drop this part of the process altogether? And like a simple thing, like a GFC, which is a good for construction drawing. Clients don't need it, right? We need it as when you're doing the construction side of things. So instead of making that a sequential phase, we made it a parallel phase.
Okay.
So, all those kinds of things have really helped us shrink.
You think the turnaround time goes up if you're preparing GFCs and then thinking about
Absolutely. If you do things sequentially, everything just adds on to that timeline, right? If you do things in parallel, it helps. And especially if both sides, both parts of the job are with you, design and build, that's a huge advantage. So you shouldn't run it like you're going to design first and then build. You have to understand that since you're being appointed for both, you can look at creative integrations between the two parts of the project.
When it comes to execution businesses, especially in construction or fit-outs or interiors within India right now, when the same firm is executing it, they usually don't charge a design fee. You guys are doing that. So why levy an additional design fee with the build cost as well?
So I'll answer that question from a different perspective.
Okay.
A client invests in his office one time, but he has to go there every day. The number of waking hours that he's spending is maximum in his office space.
Correct.
So we often tell clients, now, why are you optimizing for 100 rupees a square foot, 50 rupees a square foot? Why not look at the larger picture, pay that 100 rupees an extra today and get a product that you're proud of sitting in, that represents your brand, that your people are comfortable in. So, a design fees in India ranges between 50 to 100 rupees a square foot. The cost of a project is usually between 2,500 rupees a square foot to 4,000 rupees a square foot. So if a client client saves that 50 rupees, it's not benefiting him in the longer term, right? He won't get that level of service. I mean, at the end of the day, everything has a cost. Architects have a cost. So if I don't charge it as a design fee, I'll charge it in my build fee, because eventually someone has to compensate the architects, right?
Yes.
So rather than making things more opaque, which is give a consolidated price, we believe in telling the client this is how much you're going to be paying for design. This is how much you'll be paying for PMC. So even the client is aware, right? What is his money going towards?
Interesting. I wanted to ask you a question about speed versus quality, right? So I think I should have asked this when I was asking about the 90-day fit out. In my personal experience, I've seen when you push things for like a speedy thing, then you basically don't care about a lot about detailing, or let's say things that actually take time, which actually derails your tat, right? So turnaround time needs to be something that you're focusing on.
Yeah.
90-day deliver, 90-day deliver. Does that sometimes compromise with quality and sustainability?
So I think quality is a non-negotiable, because for us as a newer firm, we have to have an edge over other firms, right? Otherwise, why would a client come to us? If we start compromising on design quality, then there's nothing really left as a USP except for price. And price is something we don't want to compete on. We want to compete on office quality, sustainability,
Fair.
timeline, speed. So yes, usually there is a trade-off, but currently we are pushing the process is so inefficient that if you just get efficiency into it, you can curtail down the time.
Interesting.
Right? So you're not really compromising on quality. But yes, today, if I was pushing for a 70-day fit out period, then I would say we start cutting into the quality aspect of the entire project.
What's your team size like right now?
So we have 18 people, which is in-house purely for execution. And then our design team is another 14, 15 people.
Okay. And what's the structure like? How have you designed it? Is it designed like a startup? Is it designed like a consultancy firm, which is like probably like a McKinsey model, or I don't know?
Yeah. So both my parents run an architecture practice, and we get our design done from Morphogenesis, which is my parents' firm. We are structured like a startup. So it's actually quite interesting that one is a legacy firm, which is more than 30 years old, very stable, very large. And the other is a startup. So, we want to run at the pace of a startup, but we also have to fit into the legacy processes, right?
Okay.
And a lot of the quality actually comes from legacy. It doesn't come from startups. Like you said, startups just want to run very fast.
Exactly.
So I think that blend is very interesting. I think the one who benefits the most is the client. He gets the innovation of a startup, but he gets the quality and the discipline of a established legacy company.
Do the energy levels sometimes collide?
So I wouldn't say they collide, because luckily in a creative profession like architecture, your team is often quite young.
Fair.
Right? So that way they resonate with us. It's more the processes that collide, because a legacy firm will have very stringent processes, and Morphogenesis is a very process-oriented firm. So, sort of changing that or modifying, amending that is where the friction usually is.
Do you recommend working with your parents?
So in this case, absolutely. I mean, who better to learn from?
Okay. You're being nice. It's okay. I'm sure they're listening and they will listen. Do you think Indian corporates are too cheap when it comes to workplace design these days?
So I would say there are two types of clients. One where the promoter is hands-on. And in those cases, the promoter understands that this is a one-time investment and he has to go there every day, like I mentioned earlier. So in those cases, I don't think they're too cheap. They see the larger picture. Often what happens is the promoter, especially in larger companies, gives the project handling to a procurement team. I think that's where the problem starts, because at least on the service side, there are many types of design build firms, right? Some which will give you anything that you ask for, any price point, right? Ki 1,000 rupees mein kar denge, 1,500 rupees mein kar denge, which is not practical from a quality perspective. But a procurement guy sitting on the other side who may not have the full understanding of how this process works, because they're not making offices every day. They might start optimizing on that price. He said 1,500, why are you doing it 2,500?
Yeah.
So, that's where the problem starts to break down, and we often reject those clients. So we have a simple policy: if you're not paying 2,500, 2,700 bare minimum, which is what is required to achieve a certain level of quality, we don't take on the project, because we believe that every space that we design, yes, represents the client, but equally represents our work as well. So, we like to showcase our work. The number of projects we've gotten from our existing projects is very dramatic. That's actually how we built this 100 crore order book, right?
Okay.
So without delivering that quality, we can't sort of scale at this rate.
Interesting. I want to come back to technology with you. It's always fun to talk to young people, and especially about technology. It's it's something that I think as I'm growing older and older, I think I'm leaving behind in some sort of a disconnect with it. And now I understand why I used to think that my parents were like a little backward when it came to technology and they didn't understand computers. And I think my kids are going to understand that where I don't understand AI and whatnot. Or maybe something else. You are a BIM forward approach, right?
Yes.
In terms of both your companies, right? In the design company and also in Morpho Dimensions, it's all BIM driven. And you push your client and you tell them, okay, this is how we are going to do this. But not all agencies or all vendors within that gamut of construction project are on board with or updated with BIM. How do you handle it, man?
So see, number one, we have a third company which only specializes in BIM because we, as a group of companies, believes that giving the client the most up-to-date technology is our responsibility. And just to give you a parallel, like when you go in and want to invest into various, like let's say a mutual fund, you'll go to a mutual fund manager and it'll be his responsibility to tell you, what are the pros, what are the cons, and sort of push you in the right direction. Similarly, it's our moral responsibility to tell the client, right? Because the client is not in this profession. He's not every day doing architecture or dealing with architects. So it's our responsibility to tell the client that this is the best way forward. Mm-hmm. I mean, tomorrow, like a very crude example is if you're a financial analyst in an investment bank and you're doing things pen on paper, it's someone's responsibility to come and tell you to use Excel because that is the technology that is acceptable today and there are many benefits to it. So similarly, we push clients, we show them case studies. We have in-house case studies which demonstrate the advantages of BIM and other technologies. Fair. So I think it's more our responsibility to inform the client and take him in the right direction.
Fair. We spoke about BIM. What about AI layout optimization, VR walkthroughs, real-time dashboards? How much is real tech? How much of it is real tech that you
In fact, this is quite an interesting question because one of the major issues I think we face and I guess all design build firms face is that when a client initially comes to you, he wants a free layout, he wants a free 3Ds, free walkthroughs, and then he'll make his decision. So we were investing in this pitch process to prepare all the collateral for the client will take 4 to 5 days. I mean, if you're doing it to a reasonable quality. And then you might not even get the project, right? Because the client has gone to 10 design build firms and he's gotten this exercise done from 10 firms. So initially we stopped कि हम ये करेंगे ही नहीं. But then we realized ये option ही नहीं है, बाकी सब कर रहे हैं. So how do we sort of fit into the process? So then we started thinking कि ठीक है, test layouts, let's get AI to do. And 3Ds were anyways, we were in Morphogenesis, we were already gearing ourselves towards doing 3D AIs. We submitted our first design proposal, I think 2 months ago, which was 100% AI made in 45 minutes. And we won the project. So the test layout was done by AI, the 3Ds were done by AI, the walkthrough was done by AI, and we won the project.
So instead of actually putting in that effort of 5 days, it was a 45-minute exercise.
And normally the 5-day effort would require 4 people, full-time designers, high level doing it.
Of course.
Now we got one graphic designer to do a full architectural layout plus 3Ds plus walkthrough.
So it's helpful.
It's very helpful. I mean, I think now we are doing at least 2 to 3 pitches a day.
Very well done. And I believe those clients to be like Pinterest shopping. When they're talking to like 10 different architects, 10 different firms.
And you'll be surprised, every client has started कि हम tender कर रहे हैं. Usually tenders used to be done on projects above 2 lakh square foot. Now a 10,000 square foot client is also getting up and saying कि like other design build firms are doing it.
Yeah.
So if they're doing it, why not get it done?
I think they're leveraging the competition in the industry. Yeah. What's your sales process like? How do you approach clients and what's the methodology if you have to approach the client?
So
do you usually get clients to come to you? What's happening?
So we currently are doing zero marketing. Initially, we spoke to so we have a network in this space. So we were getting a lot of inbound inquiries into Morphogenesis for design build. So initially and Morphogenesis didn't do offices below 1 lakh, 1.5 square foot. So those projects we initially did. Then from the projects we delivered for those clients, we got a lot of referrals. So in the design build space, one thing that is very good is if you are able to deliver a good product for a client, you'll get 3 more projects from that project itself. Plus you'll get a lot of repeat business. People think it's a one-time thing, but they don't realize that a large corporate, how many offices they're going to open. Like right now, we're doing a project for Nuava Wealth. So it's a very small project, 2,000 square foot project. We would never take on a project like this. But we took it on considering that they're such a large organization. They're going to open 30, 40 offices pan-India. So, you get a foot in the door. So usually we prefer doing our marketing through our product because we believe there's no better way than to show your executed work to your client. But currently we are getting all inbound inquiries. So we are not having to go anywhere, luckily, for sales. It's a good problem to have.
That's good. Are you pitching yourselves as a boutique firm? Are you pitching yourselves as a corporate? Are you pitching yourselves as a startup? What's happening?
So we are pitching ourselves as a new way to design build, a design first approach. I think most design build firms, they try to do a cookie cutter design and they excel in execution. So I think execution you have to excel in. You have no option, otherwise the product quality won't come out well. But I think being very good at design is a differentiator because usually what happens is the client pressures कि मुझे layout कल तक दे दो.
Right.
And when you're trying to do that, you compromise heavily on the design. So we've taken a stand that we will not succumb to these kinds of requests. If our design is going to take 3 weeks, it's going to take 3 weeks.
Interesting. Is it fair for me to say like you are sales and marketing first? Of course, led by design, yes. That is a very big part of what the business model is about. And then, of course, that speedily execution that you're pitching or putting all the chips in actually. When you pitch to a corporate client or you pitch to a corporate office, and that's probably the current focus area for you guys, right?
Yeah.
You're not doing homes or residences right now. But later on, that's the plan as well.
Yeah. So we want to become a full stack construction company down the line. So we started off with turnkey interiors for office space. We're going to eventually launch maybe later this year for residential. And then we'll move into like full civil of buildings. So we want to become a full stack new age construction company. That's the long-term vision.
How do you manage 50 plus, 30 plus professionals, 200 plus vendors? How do you keep them aligned, man?
So I think one thing that I've taken away from Morphogenesis is systems and processes, especially in a construction related business. I think the one who has the best systems is really the one who can deliver the best product. Quite often people think it's the skill set of an individual that culminates into a good project. And yes, that's a part of it. But I think a much larger part of it is the systems and processes. Even part of the 90-day commitment is the systems and processes, having the right project management tools, having the right CRM, having the right client interfacing methodology. I think these are very, very important.
Okay. One harsh question. If Manit Rastogi and Sonali Rastogi was not backing you, if you didn't have Morphogenesis, would you still start this? If you would start this, how would you approach it?
So I'll draw a parallel. For my first startup, which was in the fintech space, really there was nothing that Morphogenesis could have provided me in terms of maybe a know-how of how commercial real estate works, but nothing more than that, right?
Okay.
And we jumped into that head first as well. So I think the design build space, the construction space is very interesting. There's a large gap. There is space for companies like us to step in. So I think, yes, we would have stepped in. Maybe our growth would have been slow. Maybe it wouldn't have been as dramatic as what we've experienced in the last 8 to 10 months. But I think, yes, this is a space that I would have liked to get into. And really my interest in construction started from my previous company, where we had started evaluating under construction deals. And then we sort of started doing fit out financing. So we understood the various parts of real estate, but more from a financing investing aspect. Nice. But we understood the margins, we understood the problems, because when you're financing something, you need to get into the last detail of what you're financing. Otherwise, your investments are not going to do really very well.
What numbers do you see in the next 5 years?
So, I mean, this year we actually initially when we started had a target of a 20 crore revenue. Right now we're sitting at a 100 crore order book, right? Okay. And it's been maybe 4 or 5 months into this financial year. So it's very tough to predict, especially right now we are constantly investing into tech. We want to open new verticals like in residential turnkey. So I think adding all that in, hopefully next year we can do a 2x growth from where we are today.
Many young founders, especially these days, in fact, there's been like so much news lately. They burn out trying to scale fast, At 28 with 100 crores ARR, are you building a business or are you sprinting to another exit?
So with respect to exit, I wasn't even building my first company for an exit, but I think there's a price to everything. If someone is willing to pay more than that price, and that price doesn't have to depend on a market multiple. Your business should be worth 4x. Your business is worth what it's worth to you. So if I feel my business is worth 10x and if someone is willing to pay 11x, then Sure. I'm always open for a conversation.
That's what business is, right?
That's what business is. So that's my belief on exits. Even my last startup, we were actually looking for a minority investment, and we got 3 acquisition offers. So the price was right, we sold. This time again, I don't foresee any exits. We've in fact turned down multiple VCs already on various kinds of offers.
So you're doing this with your own money?
So we're doing this with our own money. We're doing it very profitably. Currently, we are operating on roughly a 6-7% PAT. As we scale and as we sort of build efficiencies, we are hoping for the PAT percentage to go up to 13-14% stabilize. And money from my last exit, I've reinvested in this business. What better use? And that's how we are really building.
I was going to ask you, like, what did you do with that heavy paycheck? Did you like splurge it over, or did you like save it? What's up?
So I splurged 15%.
Okay.
60% went back into my next business, and the remaining of it went into investments.
So as long as you're enjoying what you're building and you're making. The Indian construction industry is notorious for delays and quality issues. Why should we believe that Morpho Dimensions is any different?
So I think inherently the construction industry doesn't have delays. Delays come because there are a lot of stakeholders that are having to coordinate with each other, including the client. Right? Like, I'll give you a simple example. We had a client who wanted us to deliver in 3 months. It was a challenging project, but we took it on and we accepted. Now, in the design phase, we sent something to the client. He responded after 5 days, whereas his approval period was 24 hours. So when the client eventually calculates the delay, he's not factoring in the fact that other stakeholders, sometimes including himself, have caused the delay. So inherently, there are no delays as long as you plan the project well. But all these externalities can add. Like another project, a Vastu consultant stepped into the project post-design closure. And then he's saying that color palette is wrong. है ना, अब color palette गलत है, सब कुछ you have to now get up and change. So that's a whole month of delay. NGT will happen in November, December.
3-4 months gone. Yeah.
Time gone there. So I don't think inherently, at least interior projects should be subject to drastic delays if all stakeholders do their job properly. And I think one of the main responsibilities of a design build firm is to ensure that the stakeholders are held accountable and responsible for the timelines, right? Like even the client. We constantly inform the client on a day-by-day basis that this is the amount of delay that's going to be caused because of your delay in making the decision, right? And we assist the client in making that decision faster. Like we do this thing called a material workshop, where we get every single vendor to get their materials to our office. We plan a full day with the client, and the client comes and selects all the materials in one day. Other design build firms, some others, the way they do it is they'll send for veneer, here are 5 options. For flooring, here are 5, and they do it incrementally. So, this becomes a very stretched process. So rather than doing it broken down, we do it all in one day and we call it a material workshop. So, so delays...
This happens at the very beginning of the...
As soon as the design is frozen. So as soon as the look and feel is frozen, like I can get a chair in a certain location for 5,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees. But how is the client supposed to know which chair he wants?
One of the biggest challenges that I've seen in terms of execution of sites of course, I don't have as much experience as Morphogenesis or Morpho Dimensions right now, but we built few things. What has happened is that ideally it feels right to take the decisions early on the table, where you freeze the design, then you freeze the materials that you want to use in. You, of course, freeze the agencies that are going to do the job. But for some reason, I found that there are so many crooks in construction in India. And I'm not afraid to use that term because crooks are crooks, right? People jump into the construction business as such because they think that it's good money, right? Higher margins, quick turnaround, whatever. One of the biggest problems is that, number one, the design might be the design, but the site is something else.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in a fit-out situation. Another challenge that I see is that you can't foretell any delays in deliveries from the vendors or in execution on site, or something goes wrong on the site, right? What are some of the funniest mistakes or the funniest things that have been built that you've seen in the last year or so? Is there any fun story there? It'll be fun too.
Less funny, more problematic. So there was a client for us in Chandigarh. So he told us, I really need a quick layout, etc. So I'm sending you the AutoCAD plan. Now, when you get an AutoCAD plan, your assumption is that this is going to be, what you see on site. This is the representation. So usually we do a site visit, but in this case, the client was pushing, so we skipped the site visit stage. And he said, "Okay, we'll depend on your AutoCAD and make the test layouts, and we'll do everything." We spent 2 weeks. We did everything. We went to the site, and the plan was only different. Like there was. The AHU room, which was supposed to be on the top left part of the plan, wasn't there. The bathrooms, which was supposed to be in the center, were on the right side. The staircase, which was supposed to be somewhere else. So we asked the client, what kind of AutoCAD plan is this? He's saying, but this is what I want the building to be. I said, boss, then you should have made the building as such. Na? Matlab, how are we supposed to now do anything?
Now that's your job.
That's your job. So then we had to explain to him, ki, boss, this is architect's job. Yeah. This is not interior designer's job. And then he's saying, but you are also designer. You also do this. So sometimes, you get all kinds of clients.
Do you think people throw a curveball to you because of the legacy that you come from?
So I don't think necessarily it's because of that. I think, clients don't interface with this industry on an everyday basis. So when it's like, if I step into a fully different sector and I start asking them for things, it might not be aligned with how the sector works because I have no information about anything.
Yeah.
So you have to take it with a pinch of salt, especially client requests. Like one client said, "Acha, ab mujhe yahan beach floor पे fountain बना दो." अब fountain बनाने के लिए water supply चाहिए, है ना, water drainage चाहिए. अब वो सब कहाँ से आएगा?
So and then you cut out the slab.
हाँ. So client says he only looks at the final thing कि मुझे यही चाहिए. But you have to educate the client कि ये possible है, ये possible नहीं है, ये करना भी है तो ये cost होगा, ये timeline होंगी.
But so many people don't want to be educated about that. Yeah, they're not coachable. There is a fixed mindset. They think, I'm paying you the money, do the job.
So you'd be surprised. Right now we're accepting only 3 out of or 4 out of every 10 projects, and we are shortlisting based on alignment with client. Because at the end of the day, if we deliver a project which doesn't represent our brand, we won't be happy with it. And considering we have order books full, it's a privilege actually right now that we can take this kind of
Did you take up any project that came your way in the first few months?
Absolutely. We took up anything. So as small of a project as 40 lakh rupees also we took up and we executed it.
So for some people, that's a dream, by the way. That's where the privilege lies. It's well acknowledged. Do you think Indian labor is actually ready for not just like doing it the right way, but BIM, AI, modern fit-out practices? Do you think, or this is just a tech bubble that will burst in time? Because I don't think anybody's training the grassroots in any of these.
I agree. So I think a lot of the tech, yes, whilst it's applicable on the grassroots, it has to be enforced by the managers on site. But to your point, absolutely, laborers are not specialized in construction in India. They just pick up anybody. And it's on a din ki dehadi ki ye lo and kaam karo, and the guy doesn't know what he's doing. His manager is telling him ki brick yahan se yahan laga do, bas laga diye. Usko pata nahi kya ban raha hai, kya ho raha hai.
He doesn't even know if it's set properly.
And he doesn't even know if he's going to be on a construction site 3 months from now. He might join some other industry altogether. He might go into manufacturing. Correct. So that's the problem with construction workers today. Ki there are no dedicated specialized construction workers, and a large part of that also is the whole way the economics of it flow, right? Like if you're not allocating enough money on a project basis to laborers, then you can't expect that kind of quality also. And this is not something one company can solve for.
Of course.
It's something which the sector has to solve for and eventually improve.
I know of some firms who've actually done it just for themselves. And of course, when they've sowed the seed, they would want to like reap the benefits. So what happens is like these guys have started investing into artisans. So local artisans from Rajasthan, somebody from Uttarakhand, somebody from some other art forms. And they have started hand-holding them in a way that is saying, we'll throw some work at you in every project. So there's going to be some mud work, there's going to be some rammed earth work, whatever. So, and they're trying to like keep them alive in a way, Now again, the same challenge that we were discussing earlier, that today businesses need to ask, especially in legacy environments, why is my next generation going to join it? When you have artisans, the reason the next gen won't join is because the father was starving. And he is looking at a starving dad and a family, right? So he or she will never join that again. There is no fruit of their labor that they're earning. So some of the firms are doing that. While we might shout a lot about corporate social responsibility within the country, I don't think it's doing its job.
Because margins are very thin, na?
Perhaps it is that. But I do think that there are associations in place. For example, there are architectural associations everywhere. There are door and windows company that I run, we have something called UDMA. UDMA is UPVC Doors and UPVC Windows and Doors Manufacturer Association. It's a mouthful. What we guys are doing is we've opened up training facilities at 2 of the factories of some of our associates because they have space. And we train people to manufacture the window, to install the window, to test the window. And then those people who actually do the certification for 6 months or a year, we absorb them within our own factories and our own sites. So we are not just empowering, we're also sort of giving them that job ahead.
Right.
Because it's much required.
It is.
I keep talking to Waterproofers Association of India and I say, boss, शोर मचाने से नहीं होगा ना, train करने से भी होगा. You need to train the right people. And while you're an association, create something which is educational.
Yeah.
Maybe down the years, a company like yours which grows 10x, 100x, you need to maybe invest some point and time and money into it.
Upskill the labor.
Has to be done. Otherwise, we are looking at a very big, drought of labor and labor का ही drought होने वाला है. Skilled labor तो चलिए. It's still like a far distant dream.
I think in civil construction already there's an issue because laborers are saying this is such tedious work. I would rather go join some, other kind of labor rate work.
There are no women joining the construction industry.
There are none.
Even in architecture, while 80-90% of the batch within the architecture college is women, but when you come to practice, you see a drop and you see only 10%.
Ours is 60-40, yeah. 60% women.
So congratulations, kudos. And I think all credit goes to Sonali Rastogi.
Yes.
I think she's an iron woman. I absolutely love her attitude. It's maybe because of that as well.
Probably.
Because when the design head is a woman, I think that helps other women to actually come up.
Yeah.
Site visits, we've been trained our minds and our generations over the years that, okay, it's not for women. Women aside, people in civil engineering don't pursue civil engineering anymore because, again, site conditions. While their counterparts or their batchmates who are from IT or whatever are fetching better money and they leave the country and go and settle in a better country. So they see that, difference in the lifestyles that they will lead and their friends will lead. And I don't think we are providing a great atmosphere within the construction to youngsters. Especially.
I agree.
You're often featured in Forbes and award circuits. Are these accolades a reflection of the real impact? Or do you think you're just good at real PR?
I think it's always a mix of both. I think what we did in my last company, where we created a fully independent investment avenue, right? Like earlier, investing into real estate was a very, very archaic process. It was a very capital intensive process. We changed that entire narrative. We digitized and fractionalized real estate investment to the extent that SEBI came up with an independent framework called the SM REIT framework, via which now you can invest into properties in the stock market. Like the shares, these fractional shares are listed in the stock market. So I think when you work towards changing the way an entire sector works, I think the recognition you get from that is multifold. So I think that's really what spiraled into a number of awards and recognitions. And similarly, I think this time, hopefully, once we invest into technology or once we continue to invest into technology and we change the way the status quo is operating, I think that's where really you get the exponential benefit of recognition.
What's your typical work day like? When do you start? When do you end?
So it's really unstructured. I mean, usually people say structure is better. I like to think that you wake up in the morning and you figure out what are the 3 most important things for that day. Then whatever it takes to achieve those 3 things, you do for that day. So, I don't believe in the fact you need to go to office for 15 hours a day and sit down.
Okay.
I believe that sometimes I work non-stop for 25 days, including weekends. Like this weekend, like I'm going to work full day tomorrow. Right after this, I have meetings. So there are weeks like this. Then there are certain weeks where I don't have too much work on a Thursday, Friday. So I want to ideate. I want to see, how we can sort of do more strategic growth. So then I sit at home, take time, introspect. So it really varies on a day-to-day basis. But I think one thing that is consistent is waking up, spending half an hour reflecting on what are the 3 most important things for your business, and then deprioritizing everything else. Let the noise get cut out. Focus on what is important for that day.
I love asking business owners a question about failures all the time. Because I think we are a comedy of failures. Of course, when you look back when you go in the future, look back. It's always a comedy.
Yeah.
I think life is fun when, say in rewind. I think you're far too young right now to ask you this question, but maybe this this question would be a little more pertinent by 5-10 years, and probably life leads you to a little more introspective, gives you a little more introspective attitude. Right now, it's all about growth. But what's been your biggest failure so far as a founder?
So-
and don't say that I don't believe in failure. Give me one real mistake that you think, okay, happened, will never happen again.
Sure. So I think one of the biggest mistakes that happened was when I was doing my first startup, Myre Capital. And initially we didn't have any external investor or external capital. It was a P&L driven business. So I think I put too much emphasis on P&L and I did not hire the right people. I thought, I can step down and do marketing. I can step down and do sales. So, save that money, save this money. And I wasn't investing into people. And then there came the appraisal cycle. And appraisal cycle, you can do whatever you like, but people will, a percentage of the people will not be happy and they will leave. And then once that happens, you realize you have no succession. You're not a company. You're a one-man show.
Right.
So I think that was my biggest pain point. We went from a team of 21 people in the first year to only 6 people in the second year, and business was booming. But this was just attrition and not investing in the right heads, not investing in succession. So I think at that point was really the point at which maybe the company would have closed. And then I started hiring the right individuals. We started investing into people. We raised capital. And I think that's really something which I brought forward from that company to this company. Over here from day one, we've hired the best person for the job, irrespective if we have the business or not. Because I believe people will figure out how to monetize themselves.
That must have hit hard, yeah.
It was very tough. It was very, very tough. But in terms of failures, I have another belief, which is ki in a day, if you have, let's say, 10 events, you can at most hope for 6 successes, but you will have 4 failures. But as long as your successes are marginally more than your failures, compounding will make you lead to a eventual good outcome.
Absolutely.
But you have to be able to deal with failures, and small failures, big failures, as small as an employee leaving or a client not paying your last 3%, or like you sort of screwing up in a pitch. Failures come in many forms, but I think is just ensuring your successes are marginally higher than your failures is where your win is.
Success is a series of comedy of failures only.
Yes.
Which you can actually look back and laugh about later. But yeah, kudos on actually getting back on your feet and doing what you did. Now, tell me, Indian clients, they want world-class facilities, but with Lajpat Nagar costing. Can we really call them visionary?
So again, I think where the expectations and budget don't align, I think those are the most problematic clients, right? If a client wants a economical product, but knows he wants economical product and wants to pay the price of 2,500 or whatever the economical is, I think that is okay. But when a client is expecting the moon and he's wanting to pay economical, we don't take those projects anymore. Because at the end of the day, if the client is not happy with the final delivery, there's no point to any of it.
Fair. Interesting. So Aryaman, let's have some fun. Let's have some fun now. All right. So I think it's sort of done and dusted with, but rapid fires are in.
Yes.
And even this or that's are in. So let's see. If there is a bad question that I ask, guys, just forgive me. I wrote this overnight. So tell me, Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, best city to execute a project?
Bangalore.
Biggest construction pet peeve?
Mismanagement.
Okay. One client habit you wish you could ban forever?
Change in design.
Okay. Fleeting mind, let's call it.
Yes, fleeting mind.
Design or execution, which is harder to achieve?
Design is harder to achieve with the client because of the number of changes, and execution is inherently a more complex process.
Okay. Most overrated design trend in offices currently?
Phone booths.
Phone booths?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I think every office wants one though, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, the phone booths are not very sound insulated. The kind of airflow inside these phone booths is also not optimal.
Yeah.
So we actually don't do phone booths anymore. We do a small meeting room, small meeting cabins actually.
Yeah, interesting. Young founders or seasoned veterans, who's easier to work with?
Young founders.
Yeah?
Yeah. They're very clear in what they want.
Interesting. Your energy vibe matches. Nice. If not design and build, what would you be building?
I would still find something in the construction industry.
Okay. Give me a piece of advice for every 20-something listening to this podcast who wants to build something as big as you did by the age of 28.
So I think execution is most important, and don't be scared to fail, but fail fast. Don't spend too much time on an idea that is not working.
Just
try
jump
it out.
in.
Jump in, try it out, but set a certain metric. If it fails to this extent, then I'm out. Or at least this idea. So fail fast, and you can fail fast in multiple things. Like, even a BD strategy. You might invest, okay, let's go to all the IPCs and do BD with them. If it's not working, skip it, move on.
Interesting. Too many great ideas have been benched because of too much thought.
So I don't believe in thinking too much. If it is making behind the paper sense, then you go ahead with it, and you do it on a small scale, scale it up.
Super advice. You've disrupted proptech and now design and build. What's the next Indian industry you would want to break in the future?
So I think construction is a very large space. We've just scratched the surface. We are at interiors. There's a huge gamut of things we can do. So I think the next 10 years, I would want to invest into this space, and then we'll see where we are.
Okay, so next 10 years, not the entire life right now. At
No.
least. You're not betting it on in a long term. So you heard it, 10 years. I already asked you this, but first big paycheck, did you splurge it or did you save it?
Partially splurged, partially saved, partially invested.
Okay, what was the one erratic buy out of that splurge?
My car,
Your car, which is?
a Mercedes.
Okay, nice. Squash racket or boardroom? Where's the bigger adrenaline rush?
So a lot of the thought processes happen in the squash room, but they're just orated in the boardroom.
Interesting. So it's both places that give you a high.
So I think maximum thinking I can do while I'm either in the gym or while playing sports.
Interesting.
But they get executed in the boardroom.
One word clients overuse in buildings.
Sustainability is very important, but I think clients are not understanding what they mean themselves when they say sustainable.
Even podcasters bastardize that word a little bit too much, including me. Dream global city to build in? New York, Dubai, Tokyo, or somewhere else?
New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think part of the New York skyline is every designer's dream.
Oh, is it? Interesting. Worst on-site disaster you've ever seen?
So touch wood, so far we've not had very many disasters.
We'll ask you 10 years later.
Yes.
Elon Musk calls you, wants you to design the first office in Mars. Would you do it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Being part of history, there's no better way to build your firm.
You know, you'll have to sit in one of his shuttles and go there.
That's okay. So I've gone and actually sat in small towns, Ludhiana, Chandigarh. So initially, the first bunch of projects we got, I was there on site at least once.
Boss, you've mentioned Ludhiana and Chandigarh. Collectively, those two cities and Delhi's wealth, Delhi's wealth holds no torch to Ludhiana and Chandigarh.
I agree.
I think it's got like the biggest families
I
there.
agree.
Design awards, validation or vanity? Be honest.
Half. Awards are always about vanity, but it gives teams validation as well.
He's young, he wants more awards, he wants to win more. It's fair, and I think everybody does. One habit that makes architects bad project managers.
I think the emphasis on perfection of design as opposed to practicality of execution.
Oh, very interesting. And I think that's a problem faced by a lot of creative minds.
Yeah.
Because keep on, micro.
And there's no end to it. You can keep on detailing. This table I can detail to, the smaller square inch, but at the end of the day, there's only a certain level of detail that will benefit you. Post which it's only it's more for the presentation to the client.
Do you think you being a non-architect, it's more easy for you to see this rationally?
I think absolutely. Like, when I talk to our architecture teams, they think that I've lost the plot when I tell them, drop this part of the design phase, drop this, change this.
Are you ever seen as the enemy?
Quite often, because when you're pushing people to change the way they've been doing things, people are not always susceptible to change. It's human nature, right? To be a little bit opposed to change. So I think as a CEO, you have to push people to think differently, which makes you the enemy naturally.
Fair. Who's harder to please, founders or their corporate admin teams?
Corporate admin teams.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Founders can still get aligned.
Founders can see the vision and take an executive call. The corporate teams are given a mandate which they can't deviate from. So there's only convincing to a certain extent.
Okay. Pick one, speed or perfection.
Perfection.
Okay. Contradictory point of views. BIM or traditional drawings? This is easy.
BIM.
Big campuses or tight urban offices?
Both have their own charm. I would prefer doing tight urban offices because the turnaround is much quicker, so you can see the product come to life much faster.
Okay. And it has a bigger impact in some way. I don't know, for some reason, I think those places have a bigger impact when you just walk into them for the first time.
Yeah, because they're much smaller, so you have to make every space as visually appealing as possible.
Interesting. Sustainable or Instagrammable?
Sustainable.
Okay. Founder-led startups or legacy corporates as clients?
A legacy corporates, because you get a lot more repeat business.
Interesting. Strictly business-wise. Working with government projects or private sector only?
We've never done government, only private sector.
Do you want to do government projects in the future?
Not really, because so it's surprisingly it's quite easy to work with the government. I wouldn't think so otherwise. In Morphogenesis we are, but it's actually quite straightforward, quite easy, contrary to what most people believe. In turnkey, we don't want to do it yet, primarily because of the pricing of of government projects. They don't want to build luxury. They don't want to build high quality. They have a certain standard to which they want to build. Even in terms of a design perspective, government projects have a standard look and feel. So we don't want to go into cookie cutter projects. Nothing opposed to government projects. I think the government has actually made it very easy to work with them.
Given a choice, would you ever want to file for a tender?
We
Pitch for a tender?
We do sometimes, not government tenders, we do private tenders, but there is no choice. Quite a few of the very marquee projects that we want are through tender.
Okay, fair. Firefighting on site or fighting with clients?
Firefighting with clients. Firefighting on site is very easy. Firefighting with clients is where the problem happens.
The true skill lies.
The true skill, yes.
AI replaces 50% of project managers. Yes or no?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah. Energy efficiency or aesthetics? When forced to choose one?
Aesthetic.
VC funding or self-funded growth?
Self-funded growth.
Indian labor skill gap, a real issue? Or do you think it's an overblown excuse?
It's a real issue.
Okay. A real wood or laminates?
Laminates.
Cool.
I mean, laminates in the Indian context.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Open offices or private cabins?
Open offices.
Very nice. I think we've done this or that. Yeah, that was quick. You talk about when you look at the office of the future, where work, play, living, they all collide. What does that space look like to you when you look at it?
So I think the office of the future will be a very good balance between work and home, primarily with the emphasis on employee well-being. To substantiate that, I'll give you an interesting figure. So in around 2015, the amount of area per employee in Indian offices was about 65-70 square foot of carpet area. By the time 2020 happened, which was the pandemic, we had gone down to 30 square foot a person, right? So imagine from 80 to 30. Look at the density increase in offices. So the emphasis was more on efficiency. In 2023, 2024, post-pandemic, we've gone back up to 80 square feet because employers are understanding that this is how you track talent. And now that some of the offices we are designing, people are pushing 150 square feet a person, 175 square feet a person. So I think that's really going to be the narrative on how well-being is being given to employees. Because if you see office space, there's, in terms of waking hours of a person, maximum is allocated towards office space. So, if you're going to spend a lot of time or energy in making your house very nice, I think it's equally important to get office to that standard, if not better.
You think it's because of that conscious approach to make offices a little more comfortable? Or do you think it's because of tech entering a lot of processes that it's not going to, it's not of a requirement to actually have a lot of people in the office now?
No, I think the people are currently the same. Maybe with AI, the kind of people hired will change over time, but I think the requirement of people will remain. The increase in area per person has actually been a blend of both, like a corporate mandate, like let's say a company like Infosys giving a top-down mandate saying that we're going to now just increase area per person. But it's also in a post-pandemic world, the need of the hour, and it's what people are asking for, right? Like, you don't want to go to densely packed areas anymore. And I think the pandemic gave this awareness to quite a few people, right?
Yeah.
So as one of the things that changed after the pandemic, I would say this is definitely one of the key aspects.
Fair. Coming to that, hybrid work is changing office needs. Are large corporate offices or campuses even relevant anymore?
Absolutely. I think it really depends on the type of work. Like, we were discussing how AI might reduce the need of people, but I think otherwise. We are moving to a digital era like we've never seen before. The reliance of every company on digitization is going up. The requirement of IT is going up on a global level. India is very well positioned, right? We are a ITS global hub. I mean, the amount of outsourcing to India is tremendous. The maximum amount of office space is being occupied by who? By IT companies. Right. So as and when the requirement of digitization goes up, I believe that the office requirement will also go up.
Interesting. Do you think the Indian workspace or campuses can ever match the sophistication of global headquarters? Or do you see us leapfrogging them right now?
So I think we are already, in terms of the interior design quality, I think we are already there. In fact, we were doing an office for a client in Connaught Place who has an office in Washington in the US. He showed us pictures of his interior of the Washington office, and what we've delivered to him is far superior.
Okay.
So I think that in India, one thing we've cracked is how to deliver very high design at a globally, if you benchmark to global standards, a very affordable price point.
But okay, so you said interiors were there and we are probably better.
We're probably better.
Where are we lacking?
So I think one thing that we tremendously lack on is the timeline, right? If interiors are being done in like 45 days abroad, we take 4 months, 5 months, because we've not been very open to adopting technology which already exists, right? If China is putting up hospitals in 2 months, how are we not being able to deliver an interior design in 2 months?
But where we are faster and they are not is the permissions and the permits.
Yes.
They take their jolly well time, like 6 months, 9
Yeah.
months, a year, into actually giving a homeowner a permission
Yes.
just to build on top of their garage.
Yeah.
Or even to correct something. One of my friends had a tree that fell on his garage. He lives in San Francisco. He's got a beautiful, very nice, house, and it just overlooks the bay. And the tree fell and it basically broke some of the part of the garage. The tree was removed, but that broken part remained for like 9, 10, 12 months before he could actually get the permits. Because now he was doing the garage, he thought, okay, the kids are growing up now. He's got 2 daughters. Let me just put up one room up there. The permission took 12 months.
Yeah.
And then the work started after 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
Fine, I get that execution is quicker. But I mean, hell of a time wasted. I understand permits are important.
Yeah.
But the kind of red tape that they have just to maintain the look of that city, I don't know. I think it's a point of argument where people can agree to disagree on some aspects.
Yeah.
We don't have it because there is no fabric of the city that we actually look at and say, okay, this is how Delhi is tied together. Maybe in the Lutyens, Delhi.
Maybe
yes.
Lutyens, yeah.
Yeah, nowhere else, right? Where do you see, I asked you this, but I want to understand where Aryaman sees Morpho Dimensions in 5 years. What's the long-term goal here?
So we want to become a full stack construction company. We've started off with interiors. We want to move into residential, civil, and really do it from a tech first, design first approach. So I think there are huge construction companies in India, but I think where our differentiator will lie is in adopting tech from abroad, is from building native tech. So I think 5 years down the line, yes, we might have a revenue target, but I think more important than that is changing the status quo through adoption of technology and making that really the norm.
Do you have any foreign tie-ups or any other?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
What kind of agencies are you employing currently in the interior jobs? Is it the vendors that you're getting from Morphogenesis? Is it something that you've built a base of yourself? How much of it is in-house within Morpho Dimensions, if you want to break it down?
So we currently have a mix of both. I mean, of course, Morphogenesis has worked with a majority of the vendors, subcontractors in India across cities. So yes, the database we took from them, we interviewed them. In some cases, maybe 10-15% cases, our team came up with better solutions or better pricing from different vendors, primarily because we've hired very good people from a bunch of different design build firms. So they all bring their own experiences from those companies. So I think a lot of learning has happened by finding the best processes from different design build firms and embedding that into our internal processes.
We spoke about knowledge and experience being a deterrent towards action sometimes.
Yes.
When you were starting this, did your parents ever sit you down and say, why are you opening up a can of worms? Why do you even want to get into this? We've been doing this for so many years. We know that while execution might bring some money, but it's a big problem. And within India, these are the challenges. Was there ever a conversation at the dining table then?
So not only this time, I think people will tell you that every single time, including my parents. Even when I did my last business, like my father used to ask me, who is this person who's going to give you 25 lakh rupees online in my day? Right? Where are you finding this person? Even I want to, talk to him once. See what his thought process is. But by the end of it, we had 1,500 people who had invested 25 lakhs or more online. There was someone who invested 2-3 crores. So I think skepticism, especially with a new way of doing things, will always be there, albeit from your parents or from the market or from investors. But I think that's really what drives me. That gives me that additional kick in delivering a differentiated product. So I think, yes, they, again, this time said construction is a unorganized space. Why are you getting into it? Why don't you sort of look at something which is more clean?
White collar work.
Yeah, clean as a business. But I think you take all of that into account. I sort of filter that to understand what the problem statements are, and you address them head on. So I think once you made up your mind, I want to do this, then all the information that is coming in the form of skepticism is just a funnel to sort of curate your problem statements.
Yeah. This is going to be my last question to you. If Morpho Dimensions shuts down tomorrow, okay, what do you think people will say went wrong?
So I think people will say, which is the standard thing, is mismanagement of cash flows. Because there's in a design build or in a construction firm, what is far more important than profit is your cash flow. You might be very profitable, but you might not you might be in negative cash flow. And when you're doing a single design build project, I'll give you an example. You take a 20,000 square foot project at 2,000-3,000 rupees a square foot. That single project is worth 6-7 crores. So if your cash flow mismanagement goes there, then you can go into very negative balances very easily. So this is actually the way most design build firms suffer. It's not because of profitability, it's because of cash flow mismanagement. So having a very, very strong grasp of finance, of cash flow, and of client control, because at the end of the day, the client is who controls the cash flow.
Correct.
So I think that is really what is required.
I think that's true for every business.
Yeah.
Anything that's scaling up is obviously inviting a little more investment.
Yeah.
And funds not coming in or it's not flowing seamlessly. That's a challenge.
Yeah, but in this business in particular, like if you get a project, you have to do it in the next 3 months, right? And once a project has started, you can't really stop it without causing significant damage to everybody involved. So even if a client is delaying payments, quite often you have to invest your own capital into the project to procure material and keep the ball rolling. So that's where it becomes a slippery slope. To what extent are you willing to infuse your own capital? How much are you willing to free roll the client? How much trust you have on the client? So these kinds of things sort of add up.
Interesting. Thank you, Aryaman Vir, for your time, especially on a weekend.
No, thank you so much.
It was quite fun to talk to you.
Likewise.
In a way, in my growing age, let's say, the energy sort of goes down, the zeal sort of goes down to do something new. But when you talk to young, enterprising people like you, we are fueled with a lot more energy. And I hope and I wish you a lot of good luck, and I wish you a lot of success going forward. Big fan of your parents as well, and I like their work ethic as well. So kudos on raising a great son. And I think you're doing well, and I think you will continue to do well. This was Aryaman Vir, and he's running something called Morpho Dimensions. Go check it out. If you have any questions, write to me at India's #1 construction podcast @gmail.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at India's #1 construction podcast. We can touch base there. Have a great day. Thank you for listening in.